Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Austin by Starlight. Tonight, we're continuing where we left our coterie, at which point the coterie had brought over a mutual contact between Boss Hernandez and the city of San Antonio named Doc, who was supposedly an expert in things supernatural, given that she's of Clan Tremere, and that, given her position within the family, as it were, that she would be an asset to the coterie. Upon gathering more information and finding the fetter, as it's called, that tied this particular ghost to this place, or at least controlled it, and sealing it away in some kind of metal container, Doc was satisfied that the haunting would, at the worst, become the creaking of the wood and boards only, the hucking of materials in the house stopping. Hopefully. Or at least she hopes it lasts that long. In which case, she's put this little container on the table for you all to do with as you please. But upon confronting Alistair, Doc had made it specifically clear she had not given permission for Alistair to make copies of the ritual that she had performed, and was fairly upset at the thought that somebody was copying her work. She talked to Pax about it, and then Pax talked to Alistair in a very heated way about it, the both of them nearly going into a frenzy afterwards. And it's in the aftermath of all of this that we reconvene with our coterie. Pax is still kind of pacing around in the room, attempting to calm herself down from the confrontation with Alistair. Alistair having stormed off and out of the room, and Yvette making some rather covert plantings in one room or another. But with the three kind of branched off into separate rooms at the moment, what are all of your thoughts regarding what just happened not 10 minutes prior?
Oh,
Well, I'm pacing back and forth. I'm cranky. Oh, I'm so fucking pissed. Tonight has been a shit show. That's to say the fucking least. What kind of fucking idiot takes another research, copies it without their fucking permission when they're a guest on their own Twitter? What kind of disrespectful bullshit that? And then he has the gall to call me disrespect. Boy's lucky he ain't 6 feet under my leg. But I can't really focus on that right now because I got to clean up my own shit too. I lost it. I fucking lost it. And in the process, I fucked up one of the blood bags she brought along, and it didn't do shit for me. Fed off of Yvette, I have No fucking clue how that's going to affect things, or how Boss Hernandez is going to find out, or how he's going to react when he does find out. Because he will fucking find out some way or fucking other. I just got to make sure that I'm the one that fucking tells him about it. Can't keep secrets from him. I owe him more than that. And now I gotta get this blood sorted. But after I drop Doc off at my haven. If she stays in my haven, I know she's gonna be safe. And that's what matters right now. Making sure she's safe and well cared for.
Yes, keeping secrets from Boss Hernandez is not something that he takes lightly. In fact, in times past, in secrets that you've kept from him, it's almost certain that he's punished you in more ways than one. Alistair, why don't you give us an idea of what you're feeling this time and right now?
I was right to classify Pax as a live hand grenade, best to be handled with care. I understand why she's angry, but it was a misstep on my part. I let my curiosity get the better of me. Something that I've done before. Me and my sire. We have alienated another Tremere by the same transgression that I'm still trying to make that right. Hopefully, with Doc, my gesture isn't a little too late. But you have to do what you have to deal with what you've done.
Yes, taking responsibility for the things that you have done is definitely very important. Any event, what are your thoughts as you're continuing here?
Maintenant, I am thinking of how it is our coterie may end up continuing to function in the following nights. Yeah, I can end up seeing that it will be quite the difficult task in order to end up making sure that everything ends up staying cohesive. But I have found that a few elements of which could be referred to as lacking. The sad truth of it is that I must also count myself among them. While I may end up trying to end up overcoming what fear I do have of Mademoiselle Pax, Monsieur Knight is probably the one I must be most concerned of at the immediate moment, as it has turned into a. How would they end up? It's just a shit show. I must end up finding a way to end up keeping Mademoiselle Cosetta fed enough that she does not end up encountering frenzy. And with her need to end up being a hair trigger, that becomes very difficult to end up doing indeed. She must end up being fed regularly. But I must end up keeping her secret. I know that she has a great deal of respect for Boss Hernandez, and as such, I am fearful of what may end up encountering afterwards. And yet, she has already tasted of my blood this evening. If I am to understand the rules, doing so multiple times in the same night should not end up causing her any more distress. And yet, I cannot end up having her hungry, as she will. Pardon. I'm trying to think past my own hunger, in fact. I must hunt this evening, not just for Mademoiselle Pax, who requires the blood of kindred to sustain her, but I must also feed for myself. I am injured from the ghost that we must exercise, or we have exercised. I am also struggling to end up maintaining certain levels of composure, but I must end up proving to be a better example than what my coterie has shared thus far. So, to do so means tonight I must hunt. I almost dread it if it were not for the consequences of doing otherwise. My herd, famine, I feed upon as to maintain myself, but I only hunt when I feel the hunger of the beast getting the better of me. It would shame me to no end to put them to risk. And I think on some level, that is also true for my coterie.
Yes, the people that you're meant to be sort of protecting, in a way. Miss LaCroix.
Oui.
Nothing official has ever been decreed upon you. No, such things don't happen in an anarch state. But perhaps you've demanded it of yourself. And thus, we rejoin our coterie in the midst of the separation that they've taken upon themselves for the moment. Probably the person that exits and sees Doc first would be Alistair, aside from Deja, who had been standing outside of the room in which Pax was yelling. And she's dressed in new clothing that has been kindly provided to her by Deja. And her hair is not pulled up in the moment. It's wet from showering. Still kind of drapes in that bit of green and mostly black. Kind of long. Very straight.
Is it possible for Alistair to approach?
She's just standing there for now. So you can approach her if you'd like.
I would approach her. Miss Doc, I wanted to apologize again. I let my curiosity get the better of me. I should have treated a guest in my home much better than I treated you. I am truly sorry, and I will find a way to make amends.
Well, I'm going back to San Antonio first thing in the evening. So, I don't know how you can make it up to me, since we don't live in the same city. We could call it a boon to cash in later, at my convenience.
If that would make you happy, I would agree to this.
But your word means fuck all to me, so...
Well,
I don't know how reliable you are when it comes to boons. I don't know you.
this is true.
So asking you for a boon could be fucking worthless. What do you intend to do about it tonight, mister?
What is it that you wish?
Well, I've already told Pax what I wish. I have a better relationship with her than I do with you. We're family, you see.
I understand. Family is important.
Yes, it is.
Is there something I can do or get for you to make your stay here a little bit more comfortable while before you have to go back? A way to make amends.
First things first. Who are you, and what do you do? You
I
haven't
am
barely introduced yourself.
Alistair Killian Knight. I am fresh into the ranks of the Tremere. I do not really have a specialty as of yet, though I'm told that I am showing promise. I...
Showing
Thinking,
promise.
thinking back, like, is there anything that my character would be able to specialize that I could share maybe some of my research as an apology?
Well, that depends. What do you have in backgrounds and or skills that you could share with Doc that she would find useful? That you think she would find useful?
Maybe one of my old books that was they tempted me with to get me to go down the Tremere.
And what would that book be? What is it about?
I imagine it was the Journal of a Tremere.
Those things don't get written down and don't get uh, outside of Chantries when they are.
Well, I wouldn't say that it had a lot of their research in it, but it was more of a personal account. May have spoken vaguely about some things that they were working on, but enough to
Mm, I know that a lot of a lot of the books that you have in regards to your collection have to do a lot with witchcraft. You know, a lot of it is fictional. A lot of it is superstitious. A lot of it is pseudoscience. So, as far as first-hand accounts, I think that your library would have to be of incredible repute to have something like that in it. So, in order to, uh, you could possibly give her one of the things that you've made your own personal notes about, which you've notated a bunch of the books that you own. If any of them came up with something that was of particular importance to you.
Okay.
Most of the collection that you have is your personal research, not necessarily things that were given to you that were written by someone else. Those are all in your sire's possession.
Okay. I'll get one of my early tomes that um goes over what I was learning as a Tremere and the little one ritual that I know and my studies into that and some of the
One,
powers.
what one ritual do you know?
I know Bloodwalk.
Okay.
I think that's the one where you can drink blood and tell like
A
a
lot of
lot
different things
about.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm familiar with it. She kind of, you pull this book. It's kind of, is it more of a notebook or is it more of like a piece of
Leather
fiction?
bound leather bound journal.
A journal. Okay. And she kind of takes it in her hand and opens it up. Realizes that there's a bit of notes in here about a lot of things. You realize that having this out and in public will get you shot, right?
Yet another thing that I have not learned yet that I could blow up in my face, but
Yeah, because this is very familiar territory. I know what this is. And I think. Are you sure?
I think the only thing to right the wrong that I did was to give you some of my own research. Granted, you probably know everything about what I have, but it is the only thing of value that I think I can give that.
She kind of thrusts it back into your chest. No. 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 Fuck. What I was scribbling isn't worth that. Just trust me on that.
Well, the only other thing I could think of is I have an extensive library that you could peruse if any of it would be of use to you. Some of it is useful, others is fictional at best, but I've been curating and acquiring what I can.
Which I don't blame you for, because that tends to be how our types function. I am not like most of our types. I'm a little more practical than that.
Ah,
She really upset you back there, didn't she?
Who? Pax?
Well, she was yelling quite a lot, and
It dredged up some unpleasant memories, but aside from that, nothing that I cannot handle.
you're sure about that?
I am no stranger to being yelled at.
Huh. I'm no stranger to it either, but it's nice when others don't.
Yes. It's going to be a rocky road with Miss Corsetta, I think. But I'm hoping in time we will find a balance. Or she'll probably end up killing me.
Both are both likely and unlikely at the same time.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm sure you have better things to do. If you can think of anything that I can make this up to you, don't hesitate to ask.
Your favorite piece of fiction off of your shelf.
Hmm. I'll be right back. And I'll go into my office and I will pick up a very old, well worn copy of a book called My Side of the Mountain.
Hmm. So do tell us about a little bit about what this book is about.
It was an escapism book for Alistair in his youth. One that I've actually read in real life. It is about a boy who, because of a plane crash, is on his family's property in I think it's like upstate New York. Um out in the boonies in the mountains, and he ends up learning how to survive out there and
Hmm.
living out there on his own.
Ah. So a survivalist tale. Okay.
Yeah.
And she kind of cocks her head a little bit at the book. She kind of turns it over to the back and kind of reads the little synopsis that are usually on the back of like paperback books, and she realizes how well worn this is, that it's nearly coming to pieces. I can tell it's your favorite now. Interesting. I'll have
Yes.
to give it a read.
It's not one of the greatest works ever, but it had a special place in my heart growing up.
Huh. I think I'll find it insightful. Thank you.
You have a wonderful evening.
Well, I think I will. She kind of opens it up a little bit, kind of being careful about the how gentle she's going to need to be reading this book, but already kind of goes into reading the first page.
Alistair would probably go to his library and start unpacking books and putting them up on the shelf, since the ghost is no longer going to be flinging them at him, apparently,
Mm-hmm.
and starting to arrange his library unless anybody comes to get him.
Pax, Yvette, what are y'all doing?
Maintenant, I have just ended up finishing my time to end up, well, leaving in Alastair's room a small sheet of paper under his pillow. One that he may find of interest. I am preparing to head out. I will be sure to end up discussing with Pax beforehand, preferably outside of the earshot of Doc, but of course, Doc cannot be left alone at this exact moment. But I must end up going to provide for the coterie.
And when you come down the stairs, and you do see that Doc has kind of found herself a book that she's starting to read. That she's kind of just leaned up against the banister of the stairs. And Pax is finally coming out of the room which she had been in for the moment, having kind of collected herself for the moment.
You'll notice in her hand she's got a bag. Black. Plastic. Probably full of the clothes that she had blood all over before.
Soir, Mademoiselle Cosette.
What's up, Frenchie?
Might I pull you aside for a small consent?
Yeah.
Merci.
I'll be a moment.
Pardon. So, about tonight, I understand that for you it is difficult to end up receiving the sustenance required. As this is time sensitive, I wish to end up making you an offer to end up making both of our own lives a little bit bearable for the near future.
I'm listening.
At this moment, I believe that you have made arrangements for Doc.
Yeah.
And if in order for you to do so, you must be in good health yourself, correct?
Don't know what you mean by that.
You're half starved. This is why I wanted to pull you aside, because I understand it is a matter sensitive.
Again, not entirely wrong there.
My proposal is, as we still have an evening left, that we at least try and end up getting you topped up. From a source you need not end up worrying on pushing a little further.
So what are you proposing?
You must go and settle with Doc, make sure that they end up having a chance to settle in. In that same moment, I will end up going hunting to see what it is I can end up wrangling. Once I end up doing so, I will end up offering my own vitae unto you in hopes of you maintaining a certain stability, which is in both of our interests.
What's the catch?
Mademoiselle Cosetta, you presume that there is always a catch to all things, oui?
Yes. Because there is.
Does it make you more comfortable if I were to create one?
There's always a reason why we do these kinds of things.
In my
Why?
own... Because your outburst to Monsieur Knight ends up showcasing that at any point you have the opportunity to consume him, or myself, Miss Deja, and you may even do so towards Doc, even if it is not within your wish. and Doc is our guest. Their safety is paramount, and in doing so, I end up maintaining a reputation.
Right.
If you wish, I can end up adding a string that would make you feel as though it were more at home in the world that you end up existing in.
It's fine. Tell me, can you drink bagged blood?
No,
Can't
it
keep it down?
is not without significant. Um, let us just say that there is an embarrassment that I share, that I understand where you are coming from.
Fair enough.
This is probably what ends up making me understand your circumstance.
Right. Okay. Just make sure you keep yourself fed. Don't
That
you
is
dare.
me.
Don't you dare put yourself at risk.
I would not end up trading Peter to people.
Glad to hear it.
Understand that this is the most I can do for the evening and only to end up abating you at this point. Beyond that I fear on what may be required.
I'll try not to ask it of you again.
You will have to eventually. I am only hoping that that eventual moment will happen long enough that it will no longer be a concern.
Fingers crossed. The blood's a fickle thing, though.
Oui. But if it ends up assisting you, Mademoiselle Cosetta, then it will be done.
Is there anything that you need?
Allow me to end up considering that offer. But for this particular job, no.
Right.
I simply require know on how to end up getting a hold of you when required. After you have dealt with Doc, I should have enough time to at least attempt to feed.
Well, after dropping Doc off, I gotta go have a meeting with Boss Hernandez, and then my time is yours.
Perhaps it would be best if you do so before you meet with Boss Hernandez. I am told that those with the blood of Malkav do not operate greatly under stress.
Depends on the kind of stress.
Fair enough. But as I do not know you, most only can make an educated guess until proven otherwise.
Fair enough. But I wouldn't worry about Boss Hernandez.
I do. I am in a coterie with not one but two individuals who have connections. Eventually, myself and Boss Hernandez will end up having to meet. And when we do, I would rather it be on congratulatory terms than hostilities that have boiled over, such as you consuming one of your own coterie mates and having to explain it to Baron K.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, if you need me, uh, you got a pen and paper?
He
You seem to have pulled
reaches,
that out of your ass before.
not quite. She pulls out a pad and basically a ballpoint pen.
Pax will note down her phone number.
Très bien.
I feel like I've given her this number more often tonight than I have in last year.
Well, the good news is I will make it a point to end up calling you by payphone if possible.
Appreciate it.
My
And
oh,
when you do call me, watch the keywords.
I will make discretion my top priority whenever dialing in these digits.
I appreciate it.
If you je m'excuse, I must remove myself for the evening. Expect my call in, well, enough time.
All right. I'll see you later, Frenchie. And thank you.
You can thank me by not mentioning it. Quite literally.
Right.
Bonsoir, mon ami. And
Later.
with that, she starts making her way to the truck or to her car with, well, her usual equipment. The case containing her firearm, the FAMAS, and the French infantry cavalry sword, placing it appropriately where it needs to be. Everything's lock and key, everything's above board, registration, and all that fun stuff. But she's also going to check her sidearm in case, the one that is located in, as a shoulder holster. And she is going to go hunting.
Hunting it is. And Yvette, you can make that a quick roll. Now, the coterie is... Let me look up your chase. It's chase 3. So your little domain is not terribly small, but it is very safe feeling. So, the difficulty
That's
would
only
be...
a 2.
Oh.
No, she needs 4. That's only a 2.
Yeah. Sadly, Yvette, you try. You try and you try, but no, none of them smell right. All of them smell a little bit off. They're just not quite right. Not even palatable. All of which smell just like they'd gone off, like spoiled food of some kind. You're not finding that one particular flavor that you like. Then again, finding the flavor that you like in a neighborhood that you're new to is a little difficult.
Eh oui. Maintenant, what would I have? Am I allowed a succeed at cost or a full-on feeding scene?
Let me look here. So,
Because I have offered my assistance, and I will go to all means necessary to make sure that Madame Cosetta will not end up going hungry this evening.
Your mind immediately ticks back to Dale and to Chris. Both of which would taste really good right now. Not compared to some of this other random, uninteresting individuals that are coming across this night.
Tell myself afterwards for dessert, when I am not worried about tearing somebody's throat out. They are for consuming when it is manageable. I will not end up putting them under risk. They are mine.
There's always Jennifer's entourage. She still has one, right? She still has a couple of people who she hangs out with.
True.
Maybe you can sneak a feed off of them.
I think that might be the best idea that I have right now. Being new to the area makes it very difficult to end up feeding outside of that. I must continue on.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do so.
And so, so you call up Jennifer. Who is Jennifer to you, Miss LaCroix?
Jennifer Kellinger, a superstar who very big into the music scene. She is this more of a, how should I put this? Aesthetically, more of K-pop with an American twist, with something a bit more louder, akin to almost a strange fusion with rock and roll. I'm sorry, I'm not one for music. But more importantly, she was involved in something I do not understand the full details with Mo Sayer. But he ended up asking me to plant some evidence which had destroyed her career, made her turn to drugs and starting to fall off the wagon. Now she is a local celebrity who still has dreams of stardom. I don't think she ever knew that I was the one who ended up destroying her. It grieves me every evening. And yet, that is what it was for me beforehand. And now I keep her close as a reminder. What happens when I let others dictate my actions?
And when you call her, she does let you know that she is at a party. That she's collected together a few friends who you suspect are a little bit rowdy based on the noise that's going on in the background of the phone call. But she does tell you the address. She does let you know that there are a number of people here, that she would welcome a friendly face this late in the evening. And you would guess that with as many people as are there might be the opportunity to sneak in a snack.
Most certainly do so. I make it I make myself available, dress accordingly, and as I end up in training and finding myself going back to old habits, I start to look for prey. I know that these individuals will meet my needs. They would not be here without me. And yet, I still end up wondering. I make small talk where I can. In truth, my attention is on others in the room. I look for the follower. I look for the one who is not strong, maybe out of place. It preferably, but any one of them will do. Wish to end up bringing them into my car. Well, privacy is rare, but does not require much.
And so, you lean in close for that supposed kiss on their neck, but instead you sink your teeth in. They melt in the sort of euphoria of the kiss. The flavor is palatable, if a little laced with something. Yeah. You're pretty sure that that's meth.
Oh, très bien. I am going to be worried at this point, trying to hold it together. But ST, if I may ask, this is qualifying as my herd, oui?
This would not qualify as your herd. This is a sort of specialized hunting.
Merci.
So, as a result of the free feed, the cost is this person is obviously high. And so we are going to determine what they're high on and how it's going to affect you. You taste traces of meth, of maybe other illicit drugs. You also get this taste of very strong alcohol. So let's figure out which one is the one that's going to affect you right now. That's in the rules. Yes, there's rules for that, right? I am not super familiar with the rules on kindred and drugs. You wouldn't happen to know where to find that in the book, do you?
That is... Here we go. Tainted Blood. Page 310.
310.
As undead vampires have a little fear of conventional poisons. However, they may be affected by poisons or drugs contained within the victim's bloodstream. Some vampire juices or heads actively seek out prey under the influence. Drugs can also alter the resonance of the prey's blood, etc., etc. Alcohol. Lower dexterity and intelligence. Cocaine, meth, speed. Spend 2 willpower points to reroll a messy critical or bestial failure. Results to resist control frenzy increased by 1. Fantastic. Hallucinogens, unable to concentrate. The vampire's wits, resolve, and manipulation pools are reduced by 2 dice. Heroin, morphine, opiates, subtract 2 dice from all physical dice pools. Marijuana, the vampire experiences a slightly altered perception of time, suffering 1 die reduction of wits. Difficult to resist frenzy decreases by 1. Please be high on marijuana too, please. And then poisons are a whole nother thing. But
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're gonna roll a d6 and re-roll a 6. Because I wanted the poisons I'm not gonna deal with.
okay.
So let's figure out which one is the strongest and what it is that you're going to be suffering with. That is the third one on the list. The hallucinogens. Your wits, resolve, and manipulation are affected by 2 dice. You're unable to concentrate on anything right now. And that is going to affect you until you next feed.
Oh, très bien. Très bien. I am...
And given the time constraints, you're only able to get 1.
Merci.
This is the cost for being at 4, and I'm not going to make you roll a frenzy.
Very well. Instead, Yvette is high as all get out. Fantastic. I think it's best, given my circumstances, to go home and make sure that... What was I doing? Right. I need to get home. I need to get home for now. Need to go see Dale. Dale? He's handsome, isn't he?
He's handsome, he's tasty.
Right. We were supposed to end up feeding from him as well. Oh, damn.
He's fun. All the kinds of fun things that you two do together. And he is all about it every time that you come home and give him that kiss on the neck. But we all know what you're really doing.
When he wakes up with his pants on the floor, I'm sure he will make all kinds of assumptions.
Sometimes you actually kiss him. Other times it's just the sweet bite. And damn, does he taste good. That's right. You were going to go speak with Pax.
No, right, but we need to feed. We need to make sure that she is fit. I'm getting in Dale's pants. She starts driving.
You start to drive home. Well, we're going to leave Yvette for the moment. We're going to catch back up with Pax and Doc, who are currently on their way towards Pax's little coterie haven, little haven. Pax, tell us a little bit about this place. Where did you find such a cozy little place?
Well, it was set up for her to begin with by Boss Hernandez. Back when she was still alive and kicking. And
As much as one could be in your state.
when everything went down, and he first set her up with her with well, let's just say this apartment isn't actually hers. It's under the name of Anna Costa. Means people don't come asking.
Hmm.
And when people see her going in and out, they just assume that she's on the night shift again. It's as close to a human as she gets these nights. It's the closest to a human she's ever gotten. But it's become like home.
Hmm.
It's a place to escape and embrace the quiet. She's got the windows painted black and then covered with alfoil and then with blackout curtains over the top to keep it nice and dark. She's got a little bar fridge that she's got a padlock on. That's where she keeps those trusty little slides that those trusty little slides that she did she get that slide off of? She must have forgotten. Well, it's trusty slides that she keeps from everyone she's ever drank from. Kept padlocked, of course. And all of her stored medical equipment that she uses for various things. I mean, she was a medical student at one point, so that's one way of hiding it. But it makes things. It's a storage facility and a place for her to put up her feet. It's home, or the closest thing to it.
And you walk Doc into the apartment, and it's spacious for what it is. It's just kind of an open plan, kind of one bedroom little place where
And it's clean. It's very clean and very orderly. Everything has its place. Everything is in its place.
you see that Doc kind of quirks a brow and kind of brushes some hair behind an ear and kind of looks around. Very homey.
Welcome to my humble abode.
Much appreciated. And thank you for putting me up.
Not a problem.
You don't mind if I double check everything, do you?
Have at. As it is, when Pax walks in, she actually walks around and she checks all the cupboards, all the surfaces, behind the curtains, everything. She double checks everything. For bugs, for any plants, any breaks in her black lighting, everything. She checks everything. And this is a routine every time she walks into her haven, every time she walks into a space where she's been away from for an extended period.
Mm.
She double checks everything to make sure it's all in the right spots.
And Doc goes
She's
to
paranoid.
and Doc goes to checking the windows to make sure that they're very much light proof and sees to the extent that uh, you have done the preparations and feels pretty satisfied that she'll be safe from the sun in the designated room.
Now, just as a little side note here, Pax says as she moves over to beside one of the windows, there's a big black blanket. Like big enough, like it's a king size blanket
Mm.
and a backpack with clothes and a knife and like $50 in a little plastic bag.
Mm.
She says, now, not that I'm expecting anything to go wrong, but you never know in this life. If shit hits the fan, break a window and jump out, and this is your emergency. Whatever.
Huh. You know, I have been embraced close to 5 years now, and San Antonio is such a, well, I would say peaceful city, but I don't know. It just seems quiet. compared
I'm
to
paranoid.
Austin.
I'm paranoid. Don't mind it.
But this kind of emergency travel bag is. I don't know why I didn't think of it before.
Well, in the blanket you use it to keep the sun off you. At least until you get to the newest sewer entrance. Or the nearest shadowy building.
I've never had to run from the sun, have you?
No, and I hope to never. But it's always something in the back of my head.
Hmm. I have had feds try and come after me.
Well, that's another reason. You never know when they're listening or when they're looking. And if they bust down that door in the middle of the day, we all need a way out.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
Multiple
you're right.
uses. Multiple uses.
Quite right. I shall
But like
have
I
to
said,
take that idea with me home.
feel free. Now, I'm just gonna grab some medical equipment and I'll take that with me.
Alright. This is your home. You do as you like.
Yep. She goes into one of the cupboards and she pulls out a couple of like a small box full of IV bags and needles and various bits and pieces. Closes it up, tucks it under her arm.
And Doc has kind of settled into a chair and pulled that book out once more. Started reading
Right.
again.
Well, if you need me, give me a buzz.
I think I should be fine, but I'll keep that in mind.
Have a good rest, Doc.
I think I will.
As Pax leaves, she locks the door behind her, heads out.
And Pax, you're waiting quite a while for Yvette to actually arrive. Where it is that you would be
She
meeting.
doesn't actually wait for Yvette. She goes, because Yvette's got a number. Yvette will call her when she's ready. She actually goes straight to Boss Hernandez.
Ah, okay. So you're going straight to Boss Hernandez. Even with being as hungry as you are.
Yep.
Alright. You meet him at a usual place. He's typically found in a sort of somewhat deserted office building, even though it's not really deserted per se. He still has people coming in and out, but you know that primarily this place is definitely where he conducts business more than anything else. It's his own little meeting place, as it were. And you give the appropriate signs and the appropriate knocks on doors and whatever else codes that you and your locals have concocted as the way to communicate with each other without the need for cell phones in this building. And eventually you do come to Boss Hernandez, and he's seems to be working on something at a desk.
She stands and she waits patiently for him to finish. No point interrupting a man while he's working.
He doesn't really look up at you when you enter the room. The the person who opens the door for you, You hear that he instructs the person to open the door in Spanish, and then the person at the door allows you in and closes the door behind you. And that's he's still writing something on on a piece of paper, and he says in Spanish, "Yes, what is it?"
I thought I'd pay you a friendly visit.
Ah, mija, how are you?
Nice to see you, boss. I've been a little better. And he'd noticed that she's, covered in scratches, a few marks here and there.
He takes what it was that he was working on, kind of stacks it up all up in a pile, kind of almost seems to wad it up and shove it into a desk drawer, closes it and locks it, and then stands up from his desk. Then realizes that you're a little beaten up. What happened?
Just been a busy few days. Little place we've been put up in was, haunted, as you might have heard. Ghost was none too happy.
Ah, well, they tend not to be when you disturb their dwelling places.
Doc was a mighty fine help.
Glad to hear it.
She definitely got it all sorted out.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's very good to hear. She's always been a very useful contact in the. Well, how long have I known her now? Time escapes me. We've known each other for quite some time, even before she was embraced.
Yeah. She's a very interesting person.
Oh,
Somebody I can see myself getting along with.
Well, you ought to, because she's family.
Absolutely. Can't really say the same for my coterie. Do you ever get put with a coterie, Don?
No. I have chosen a coterie. I've never been put with a coterie.
Right.
That's the thing about the Giovanni, or Hecata as they're called now, as we're called now. We've always kind of done our own thing. Never really followed Camarilla rules, never really followed any anarch waves. Just kind of minded our own business. I've always minded my own business, and it's served me quite well.
Seems so. Pax kind of sits down in one of the chairs, pulls a leg up, and kind of leans her chin on her knee. She's like, when you were with a coterie, did you ever have trouble with them?
Always.
What kind of trouble did you run into?
Oh, goodness. All sorts. Can't even. The things that you run into on the day to day, where someone's angry about something. Someone has gone and starved themselves for God knows what reason. Someone's gone and made a mess, and then some of us who are a little skilled in the removal of bodies have to go and clean up after them because they're idiots. That sort of thing. I'm certain you will run into all of this and more as you get older.
Well, I've already run into two of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
why am I not
I've been a
surprised?
problem myself.
You've been a problem yourself?
Yeah. I let my hunger get a little bit ahead of me.
Mija. What have I told you about that?
Keep it under control. Keep it fed. I,
And that's exactly what you didn't do.
I thought I was okay, and then it slipped. But,
Can out of nowhere, yes.
it was a little bit. One of my coterie mates, helped me out. Uh, Yvette, Frenchie,
Ah,
the
yes.
venture.
Yes, I've heard of her. She's a bit of well, a bit of an oddity as she's French. But I grew up in Mexico all of my life, so what do I know?
Well, sometimes it takes a little bit of translating to figure out what the hell she's saying.
Well, you said that she helped you. It's always
Yeah,
good to help one's coterie mates. It builds rapport.
she fed me.
And you.
Yeah, willingly of her own accord.
You still have that issue from before, yes?
Yeah,
Well, do you feel anything different?
not really. A little bit more respect for her, because that's ballsy,
Yes, it is.
but a little bit wary of it too. Know that can have some effects. But
Well, well, the Vitae does create a strong bond between the person fed upon and the person feeding. From kindred, anyway. From feeding from humans, it doesn't create that kind of an effect.
feeding from humans don't work for me. So I'm stuck.
Well, I've been deliberately feeding you this entire time, and it's only recently that you decided that you wanted to take on a coterie?
Well, I can't put that pressure on you forever.
No, of course not. But your family, Pax.
Yeah,
And I'd do anything for family.
and likewise.
So are you making a request of me, Mika?
She was gonna go out and get some more food, but to feed herself, and then pass that on to me. But yeah, is that okay?
Yes, it's absolutely fine, darling. I just have to make a request of you,
Of course,
because you know that has to work every time.
of course. Nothing comes for free.
Exactly. So, tell me, before we get down to business, well, to addressing your business, What can you tell me about your coterie mates?
Well, there's Deja, who I'm sure you're well aware of, the pig farming girl.
Right. I'm aware. I'm familiar.
She's quiet, but clever, insightful.
Yes, I've known her family for many years.
Seems to be cut from the same cloth as myself. We think very alike.
Well, perhaps there's a kinship there.
Sometimes I swear we're thinking the same thoughts. And then there's Alistair. He's a problem. He's
Hmm.
he doesn't understand what respect is, and he doesn't understand secrets or how to keep them properly.
Oh my.
He made a fuck up tonight that ended up with me yelling at him, pulled him away from his side, but couldn't keep my voice down.
Well, you never have been the type to keep your voice down. I swear people can hear
He's
you from a mile away if they try hard enough.
he he stole some of Doc's research, and
Huh.
I was she was none too pleased, and I was none too pleased, and she was coming to help us out, and he pulled that crap without asking her permission. And he had the gall to think that I was disrespecting him by chewing him out about it.
But you dealt with it.
Of course, absolutely.
Is it going to be a problem again?
I can hope not. Because if it is, I'm going to take care of it.
I don't need relationships being strained between us here in Austin and in San Antonio, my love. So,
Absolutely not. As it is, I've got Doc staying in my haven. And I'm going to be sorting out breakfast for her in the morning.
fantastic.
And then there's Yvette, Frenchie.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bit hard to read, but she's a strong one. I've got a bit of respect for her. She seems a mediating type.
Hmm.
And she expressed concern for her own safety and the coterie safety around me because of my particular taste.
Yes, some in the Camarilla would call it akin to cannibalism. Some in the anarch circles believe it the truest that one can be to avoiding human casualty. It really just depends. I have no personal opinion about it one way or another, except for that the drinker could ultimately, if hungry enough, be overwhelmed by their hunger and devour the person they're drinking from.
Well, I hope to
Mind,
stop
body,
that
and
from happening.
soul.
I hope to not ever do that again. Not the
Yes.
most comfortable experience.
You don't hear his voice anymore, do you?
She thinks about that for a moment. Sometimes it melts in. but no, not really.
Because I've heard tales of Malkavians being voice hearers. That some sort of strange connection connects them all, or some supernatural garbage.
I think mine's just a cacophony of madness, but nothing to be worried about.
Good.
I don't think I'm at any risk of becoming anything else. Not at the moment, anyway.
Well, if the risk would have presented itself at the time that you had been feeding on them, or shortly thereafter. In
That's what
which
I think.
case, I think you're in the clear. At least far enough in the clear that it's not presently causing an issue.
But yeah, Yvette seems wary of me.
As all kindred should. You're a cannibal in some of their eyes.
That's true. And yet, she's willing to offer up her own blood, which I look at with a little bit of concern. That's not a common occurrence. I wouldn't think.
Well, I suppose so long as you keep coming to me in the interim, there shouldn't be anything to worry about.
You're not mad about that, are you?
No. I'm just curious.
Curious?
Not many would willingly. So I'm making assumptions, and I don't know if they're correct or not, as I don't know very much about your French friend.
I'm still in a state of learning myself.
She sounds intriguing. And what did you say her name was? Yvette?
Yvette.
Huh. I shall have to keep an ear out for that name. See what it is that
Perhaps,
I can learn.
perhaps at some point I can introduce you.
Well, that'll have to be on a night when I'm far less busy.
Of course.
But I always make time for my little granddaughter.
I'm so glad that you do.
And he takes off his coat and he hangs it up on a kind of coat hanger near the desk, and then takes the sleeve of his button up and starts to roll it up around his wrist, and then hands his wrist to you.
She kind of hesitantly takes it. And then she would bite into it.
And he is going to take up a position where he is standing behind you with almost in a position where he could
Pull himself away.
pull himself away or fight you off or do something to incapacitate you should the need be there. But I need you to make me a frenzy check. You are at hunger 4, are you not?
3.
3. Okay, no frenzy check needed then.
Okay.
And how much are you taking from the dawn?
She's only going to take a dot at this point.
Okay.
It just brings her down to 2, and that's manageable. And if Yvette comes through for her, that'll bring her down to 1. She figures multiple sources is better.
And once you have finished feeding from his wrists, and you have respectfully closed the wound yourself, and he goes to kind of from a position of kind of defense to kind of just gently petting your hair.
She leans into it.
Better, Miha?
Much, thank you so much. Is there anything else that I can do for you?
I will need you on a job.
A job?
Yes, a job. A thin blood who goes by the name of Matt has been rather rowdy. Little lazy, as it were. Do you think you could put the boot to his ass?
How severely am I putting the boot to his ass?
It's a warning.
One.
Nothing too crazy. I don't want you to risk yourself of any kind. Just let him know that I've said hello and that I have request of his presence.
Would you like me to bring him to you?
I'd like to see if he comes of his own accord. If he doesn't, well, then I'll have to deal with him.
Of course. Any idea where I can find this Matt?
Usually partying downtown, from what I understand. And as a result, he hasn't been making the appropriate donations to our little blood fund, if you catch my meaning.
I catch your drift.
So I need him to pay up.
Right. Well, I can take care of this then. Not a problem.
Please don't endanger yourself. Deliver the message. And if I need it, then I will have you extract it from him by force.
Very well. I will not put myself in danger. But I will put a boot to his ass.
That's my girl.
One more thing, boss. Do you know where I can get in contact with Blood Dough? Someone that I can get a bit of blood from to bag.
Ah, yes. I believe. Where did we end up? There was a delivery here a little while ago that a few dolls had been collected from south of here that were in I can't. There was a warehouse. There's a warehouse, I believe, in the outskirts of town that they would have been delivered to. So, and he'll give you the address for it. As a reminder,
Fantastic.
no one should follow you. No one should be with you.
quiet and silent, like the dead.
Like the dead. Or like the actually dead. As we are dead things, but we walk.
Of course.
Apparently there's a show called The Walking Dead. Have you seen it?
The Walking Dead. Isn't that one about zombies?
Is it? I've not seen it as of yet.
It's amazing what you can get with the internet these days.
Oh, well.
Pretty sure that one's about zombies. Some kind of viral infection spread across the United States and the world, turning people into the Walking Dead.
I see. And no, I don't bother with this internet thing. I prefer pen and paper and sometimes typewriter.
Pen and paper is a very good method. Tried and true.
Tried and true. I'll get to it. I'm sure you've got things that you're up to as well, besides the requests that I've made of you.
I'll get out of your hair then, boss.
Be safe.
She, of course, and you as well. And she gets up and she moves to place a kiss on each side of his cheek and give him a hug.
And he'll return it and give you a hug as well.
Have a good night, boss.
Have a good night, Mija.
And she makes the leaf.
And he sits back down at his desk and goes back to whatever it is that he was doing.
First things first,
Mm-hmm.
assuming that she still hasn't heard from Yvette, who's having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yvette still hasn't called you. And it's been a while. You expected her call by now.
I hope she didn't run into any trouble. She didn't say where she was going.
No, she
And I
didn't.
don't believe I have her number.
Nope. The best you could do is wait around to see if she shows up.
Pax is just gonna head for the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
She knows better.
It's getting pretty late, actually. Where by the time that you've had your conversation with Don Hernandez and have fed from him and everything, it's getting pretty late. It's getting about time to shut in for the night. And
She's gonna risk it.
And at this moment, I imagine that at this particular point, I am taking the last few droplets that I end up acquiring from Dale. He'll be resting for a little while longer. Perhaps he will be too embarrassed to end up remembering.
he's
But
still in a daze from the euphoria of the kiss and of course from spending time with you.
unfortunately, it required a bit more time than expected. And it was really weird to end up having that experience with the walls melting and birthing butterflies. But it was not pressing. Might have even enjoyed spending some time tripping the light fantastic. Yet at this moment, I have to end up taking my fill for the time being. I will take 2 points of hunger away out of my herd, which taps me for the rest of the week.
Yep.
And I
And
will.
Dale would be dazed probably until morning.
Well, I'm sure I can tease him about it afterwards. Perhaps bring him some cookies or something like that. But at this moment, I am probably heading out, going over to that old corner store to use the payphone. Thankfully, they have not replaced it as of yet. But then again, the whole thing is what is the word? Shithole. Yes.
Hmm.
And I will contact Pax.
And Pax, you get that call. Finally.
She answers while driving. Hello.
Bonsoir, mademoiselle.
How you doing, Frenchie?
I have a I have what you ended up requiring and would like you to be able to meet me and if possible and she gives an address that's near walking distance, but not a main place significant to her.
Mm-mm. Which is kind of on the
Pax.
opposite side of town of where you're headed, Pax, right now.
Shit. Hey,
I was not aware that was
Frenchie.
going to be the response that I would hear.
You mind if we put this off until tomorrow evening? I can hold on for one night.
And you hear her voice go from that jovialness that she typically has on the French twist, and this one's a lot more concerned. Are you sure, Mademoiselle Pax?
Yeah, I'm just I need to fix my mistake from earlier, and you're on the opposite side of town to where I need to go.
If this is how you wish, then it shall be so. I will accompany you tomorrow at the usual place.
I'll see you at home, Frenchie.
Bonsoir, Mademoiselle Cosetta.
Thank you. Truly.
She hangs up the phone. Looking at the payphone, she almost rubs the side of her temple. She starts to walk back. There's a clear frustration in her face. I am currently thinking, why would Madame Cosetta not end up taking it? It would be a new night. She would do so at risk to herself. I know that I am taking a risk, but what she is risking could be far more. 2 sips in 2 nights so quickly. Either there is something that she doesn't know, either I do not know. She is already have a domateur, or she intends to kill me. We'll presume the third option till proven otherwise. She starts to going back home. She's got to prepare for tomorrow evening. and maybe have a plan should it require to kill Mademoiselle Cosetta.
In the meantime, Alistair, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been a bit of a homebody, setting up all my books, organizing, setting up my desk, breaking out the laptop and checking for estate sales and such that are coming up for auctions that I might be able to peruse for new materials and books,
Hmm.
get new stock for the store. Speaking of which, I will need to visit that tomorrow night.
Yes. Which points you can peruse the estate sales, sort of where they're posted as you see fit in that time. But I think for now we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, a new night will begin, and we will rejoin the rest of our coterie when we come back for more of Austin by Starlights. Be back soon, everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to Austin by Starlight, Episode 4. Upon upon leaving Doc and Boss Hernandez after dealing with a couple of things that she needed to take care of, Pax made her way back to the Coterie Haven for some likely much needed rest. As well, Yvette stayed at her family home, turning on the recording of snoring and the locking the doors and hiding herself away in the appropriate closet and protecting herself from the snooping of her partner and the dangers of the sun. And Alistair made his way to his little room after setting all of his books on their proper shelves in the proper order, in the proper categories, wherever they needed to be, perfectly as he would see fit. Pax, it's an uncomfortable experience going to see the blood dolls. Why don't you give us a little bit of an idea why this is an uncomfortable experience for you?
As I'm watching the blood being extracted, I can't help but think back to when I was one of them, back to when I was mortal and being sold and used for all I was worth. My,
Drugged after, drugged on whatever they could find.
you
High,
know,
high off your
certain
gourd.
certain feelings are prized from blood dolls. The stronger the feelings, the better it is. And well,
And the less they struggle, the more valuable.
gotta be well behaved. Less damage, the better. She, the entire time that she was there, she basically held her hands to her arms, needle marks that had scattered the areas around the joint where they would normally take blood, and her wrists where there are needle marks and cut marks from various attempts on her own life and places where they'd taken blood so many times. And they covered it up as testing me for diseases and telling me that it was part of the necessary medical to keep me healthy. And then I found out later on that it was in order to feed vampires, kindred, my own kind. And they
What's
made a profit off of it. They made a profit off my body. But you do what you must to survive. And this is just how kindred show their love. I understand that now. I mean, these girls, they're taken care of in certain ways. While I'd never wish to go back to that, I can't say that they're too badly mistreated.
if too badly mistreated isn't described as locked in place, high as a kite, pain free. No
At
one's
least you don't
hurting.
feel it. At least you don't feel it. There are things in this world that are far worse than that. Far, far worse. I would know.
Your mind
It's a
kind of
relief. Pardon?
your mind kind of ticks over to the man who may have been responsible for you being in this position in the first place when you originally were conscripted in a way. Your own father.
Is he here?
He's not here, but your mind does kind of linger on him for a moment as you're here. Thankfully, he's not here.
If my pa were here, I don't know what I'd do. Every time I come across him, as I tend to in this life, it's uncomfortable. But I guess he did what he had to.
And if there's one principle he represents, it's you don't cross
You
the
don't.
family.
You do what you're told. You do what you have to for the family. Family matters more than anything else. You sacrifice everything you have to for the family, even your own blood.
Because Lord knows they weren't going to let you escape. They weren't going to let you go. And being beside the dawn was the most freedom that you'd had in years when Hugh became his personal thing.
Not just in years. I think that's the most freedom I ever had. Hell, I don't even think my mother ever had that much freedom. I owe the Don so much. I don't know how I ever repay him. If I can ever repay him.
You owe him your very existence, even if you are Malkavian and not a
That's
god.
exactly right. He's the reason I'm not still strung up there with the rest of those girls. Reason why I don't have strange men touching me every night of my life. He's the reason why I'm able to walk free and breathe clean air if I want. It's the reason why I'm able to fight with Alistair over bullshit and know Yvette and spend time with Deja. He's the reason for all that. I'd much rather that any day in my life than be strung back up there.
Would you bring this blood bag, these two, back to Doc, paying her back for the one that you broke, paying her forward for the inconvenience? And after doing
Making
so,
sure.
making your way back to the Coterie Haven for rest, finding that Alistair is proud of himself for having completed the organization of his books, and with Yvette at home, the day sleep takes all of you. The rest of the world has no idea what sleeps with them, around them, in the same city, in the same home. But you wake, fresh and puppy-eyed, fresh and bushy-tailed as you ever can be, because no grogginess ever greets you. You simply begin to move once more. I'd like everybody to make rouse checks. Packs that little grumbling in the back of your mind, in the deepness of your belly, grumbles at the thought that the Dawn's blood almost seems not to satisfy nearly as much as it used to. Or maybe it was Yvette's, you're not sure.
2 steps forward and 1 step back.
And Alistair, the same goes for you. Your stomach grumbles for that delicious red liquid that supplies life to those in the world. But the two of you wake in the same house. And you're able to greet each other at the moment, if you'd like. Before Yvette arrives.
Trying to think of what I would say.
Perhaps he looks about his confused about what to say as he as he's trying to determine how it is to greet you this fine evening, Pax. Perhaps he looks just as confused as maybe we've expressed.
Pax greets him with a wide smile, pleasant, open, almost like she's had a pleasant night's sleep. Good morning, or good evening, Alistair.
Good evening.
How are you?
Uh, I cannot complain. I hope that your stay was uneventful last night as your first time in the house.
Well, it's nice not to have splinters flying at me from every angle, but you know how it is.
Although the creaking of the floorboards might have given you a start here and there. Not enough to wake you, but
Say, I have an idea for that basement.
Do tell.
Have you given any thought to what to do with that space here?
Well, given what it was used for, I kind of thought we'd board it up and never speak of it again.
What
But
a waste! What a waste of a good, solid basement. Those things are rare in this area.
what did you have in mind?
Well, depending on whether it's got access from inside the house, we haven't really found anything. Perhaps we can use it as a storage location.
Hmm. I'm sure that even if we don't have access at the moment, now that the house is a little more amenable, when we get some work done, we can have something installed. If we have the right kind of contractor.
I was thinking we board up that little hole, make it nice and sturdy, make sure it ain't gonna get flooded, get some lighting down there, maybe concrete the floor. After, of course, we move all the bones. And get it set up with some nice chains and shackles. Place
Hmm.
to store rowdy kindred or potential meals.
If you think that is best, I will. I think you would be able to make the connections to have this work done. I can help finance some of it, but
Then again, I had another thought too. Depends on how close of a relationship you want with mortals. We could use it as a gambling hole. See if we can't get the community to kind of use us as a gambling house.
hmm, I don't know
We
how
host
smart.
games, take a cut.
I don't know how smart that would be at our haven, but I like the idea of a place to hold people that mean to do us harm. If we want to set up a casino of some sort, I'm sure we can find a suitable place. That would be a good way to get some income.
If there's one thing I know about the world is that money makes it go round. So we now have two
Definitely makes it
options.
easier.
We now have two options. I'll leave it in the ball in yours, Yvette's, and Deja's court.
Yes, when we get together, we should discuss this. After all, it is all of our property. Well, we don't exactly own it, but we're dealing with it.
We're the caretakers,
Yes.
and as such, we're expected to make something of it. You don't get given a plot of land and get told to leave it alone. You get given a plot of land and get told to grow something impressive.
Yes. I'm seeing the possibilities. You're right, it would be a waste to just let it sit there.
Now, I believe there's an elephant in the room. You looked so awkward when you came in. Did you have something you wanted to say? I'm an open book right now.
Can I speak candidly with you?
Go
When I deal with you, sometimes I attribute it to handling a live firearm or a live grenade. I don't know if it's going to blow up in my face or just go off. I realized my mistake yesterday and I tried to make amends with Doc. I let my curiosity get the better of me, which will not happen in the future as if I can help it.
That's all you had to say yesterday.
You, as I'm sure you have things in your past that have a triggers of some kind. I do as well, and the way that we were yelling at each other brought up some bad memories and some bad blood and made me a little less wanting to be cooperative.
Pax takes a seat and she pets the seat beside her and gestures for him to come and sit with her.
Ah,
Let me tell you something about me.
I am all ears.
I had the unfortunate, or fortunate, depending on how you're looking at it, benefit of growing up surrounded by some very skilled individuals. My family spreads all across the United States. And when I say family, I'm not talking about those with the sharp, pointy teeth. They're just included. My approach to things comes from that life, the way I was raised, where if you fuck up, there is no getting around it. You fuck up, you die. What you did yesterday, that was a disrespect to me, respect to the dog. That was a disrespect to me. That's
You're cutting out a little bit, Mox. I heard most of that.
Pax just explaining that
Yeah,
what he did was a disrespect to her, her family, and to dog.
yeah.
So I appreciate that you made it better in the end. But the fact that you had to make it better, that's what got me. The fact that it happened in the first place. We need to have an accord here. You mess with my family, and I got no choice but to get in your face.
And that's about when Yvette walks in.
I can understand. If I misstep, tell me and I will do things to make it right. That is all I ask. If we go at it like we did yesterday, neither one of us will get anything accomplished and it will just be a shit show.
That is true. So, friends? And she offers her hand.
Yes, I think
I'm
that we
glad.
can get along.
Yvette announces her presence by placing the case she carries with her upon the table.
Welcome
Making
home.
bonsoir, Mademoiselle Cosetta et Monsieur Knight. I hope that your evening last night was useful. She is double checking everything in there, making sure everything's sorted. She even makes it a point to pull out her the pistol from its holster, double checking the various things. She just seems to be just preparing for, well, whatever happens tonight.
Everything is as it should be.
Très bien.
Yes, I was able to set up at least a little bit of the house. Was going to make arrangements to get us some more furniture for the rest of to make this place a little more lived in. If we can all decide on a style or a what we would like or what we need, I'll help bankroll some of that. I'm not a rich man anymore, but I uh, I do have a little bit to throw around.
Well, few extra dollars here in pockets would end up making life more useful. Monsieur Knight, might I end up borrowing Mademoiselle Cosetta for one moment, please?
Oh, please, I'll excuse me.
No, 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 no. We can take it to the living room. There, we just need a moment, especially given the high tensions that were brought about. I feel that at this exact moment, it would be best to be sure I understand where everyone is coming from.
Of
understandable.
course.
After that, we have something we need to discuss if it is amenable.
I will make time for both of you before I end up contacting Monsieur Bell to inform him that the rent is paid.
Excellent.
Right,
Mademoiselle
well then,
Cosetta,
shall we? Pax
please.
stands up. As she stands up, she kind of pats Alistair on the head and then heads out.
Alistair, what does a head pat make you feel like? Just really quick.
He's more confused, but he's not as like she didn't hit me with anything. She didn't pull a gun on me. We seem to be okay right now, so I'm not going to question it too much.
Fair enough.
She's keeping you guessing.
I suppose it's better to be treated like the dog than the enemy. But Pax and Yvette pull themselves aside to another room to speak quietly on their own.
What can I do for you, Frenchie?
Hmm. Would you please sit down?
Of course. Takes a
Yes.
seat.
She walks on behind Mademoiselle Cosette. I wish for us to not have any misunderstandings. But given your earlier response, yet still willing to do so, I will end up uh, continuing on my part of the bargain to be sure that there is cohesion amongst the coterie. But understand, I will be taking precautionary measure, given your particular appetites.
You're worried.
I would be stupid not to be. But I have given my word, and either way, it is a liability that must be handled. I think this we can agree upon. We
Yes.
fantastic. Would you rest your head backwards, please?
Pax does as she's asked.
And when you do that, you might be feeling a bit of cold steel pressed to the back of your head.
Is this a necessary precaution?
As I said, we would be doing it my way. No biting, no risk, minimalized.
Whatever you need to feel comfortable.
And here I was expecting to have to give a discussion about trust works both ways. And at that point, she's very careful not to take her eyes off of Pax, though she's being sure not to watch Pax in the eye. She's more concerned about Pax's hands or anything other sudden movements, but she's more concerned about that when she bites into her own wrist.
Yvette would actually notice that Pax's hands are tucked under her bum.
Fantastic. And she will bleed in small spurts. She's calling the vitae from the wound. Feeling the sting of blood pulsing past open nerves. Dripping in controlled bits until she's convinced that Pax is not going to need to consume anymore. Or at the very least seems to be handling herself well. So 1, 2, or 3. How much are you taking, Pax?
Well, she's currently at 2 hunger, so she'll take 2.
Oh, you can only take a maximum of 1 if you're at 2
Okay.
hunger.
Well, sorry,
Yeah.
no, she's at 3 hunger, sorry.
Okay.
So she'll take 2.
Yep. By feeding
Very
from
well.
a vampire, or any other without killing, then you reduce only down to 1.
Sorry, I meant I didn't count the first dot because of that.
Okay, so you're taking 2 then? Or you're
Yes.
taking 1?
She's taking 2. Because she was at 3.
Very well. She takes a moment, licks the wound, and if Pax so much as twitches, she's going to remind her about the pistol to the back of her own head. For taking a small amount or a small cloth and even cleaning up Pax's face as though a waiter giving hands-on service. Pulls it aside and then takes a step back as you can hear the hammer being retracted back into the loose position rather than cocked.
You seem more nervous today than you were yesterday. What's got you so on edge?
The nature of you, how quickly you are willing to end up doing this today rather than yesterday. Yesterday, it would have made sense. One time feeding and maintaining 2 nights. That puts you uncomfortably close in very quick succession. One more, and one would end up making me your domateur, which leads me to end up asking a few questions. It would lead me to say that either there is something I do not know, or you already have a domateur, or three, and the most likely, you intend to kill me before a bond can be truly formed. I'm going to presume the
Frenchie,
third until otherwise dissuaded.
Frenchie, what good would killing you do me?
Stops you from being blood bonded. You have no particular interest in keeping me around, and
And then
it's
I have to find somebody else to feed off of. Somebody that could be even more of a risk.
so now I have to ask, what is it that I do not know?
Last night, I stopped by and saw Boss Hernandez. Frenchie, I've been around for a year as kindred. Been living like this for a year. How do you think I've been functioning?
Do not know you well enough to end up presuming. For all I know, you find some poor bastard with his friends, embrace him, have him eat your his friends, and then proceed to consume him.
How barbaric.
A common enough practice in France for ones with your condition.
I suppose. But not the way I like to do things.
So then you would have to end up feeding from one who is either your domateur or you have found something even more cruel. But myself, I am a convenience and at least understand what it is that you are doing.
I have very small pool of people that I trust. Very small pool of people that know what I am. The reason I say pool is because that went just last night from one to two.
So you already have a domateur.
Boss Hernandez.
Merci beaucoup, Mademoiselle Cosetta. She slides the pistol back in the holster and readjusts her jacket.
Does that relieve some of your tension?
Not completely, but at least explains your situation, and until I am given reason to doubt, I will not. Do understand that what I do is nothing personal. It is simply necessary to maintain my own safety, as well as yours to an extent.
I understand.
I will do all I can to end up me keeping you fed, but I would end up asking the request of please do not strain yourself further than you must.
I will endeavor to keep that in mind. Actually, I had to
Both
say the same thing to Boss Hernandez last night.
Boss Hernandez and moi are both carrying your load when it comes to feeding upon the kind.
Yes. Which means I need to get some resources established for you to make you a bit more comfortable. Works both ways, right? Can't have you going hungry.
Will admit, I have fed like a tick last evening, and now I already hunger. I knew that would be the price that would come. I will endeavor to end up trying to end up expanding my resources to accommodate you, Mademoiselle Cosetta.
Don't strain yourself. If you can put some of the weight on me, let's make this an even trade. So you need blood.
Yvette hesitates when you say that. Like she's not 100% sure how to respond.
So we find a way to get you blood and make it an even flow in.
Well, at least no. I can at least have the conscience that was not the one to end up placing it upon you. That alleviates one small tension.
I don't like to be Owen where I can avoid it.
It is a good practice. But, Madame Consetta, understand, in this coterie, I am at your service, not the other way around.
I prefer to look at this more like a team. We
I
should
have
be
heard
relying on each other. It'll make it a lot easier on all of us.
if that is how you wish it, then it shall be.
Okay. And you're not the only mouth that needs feeding. I'm sure of it.
True. But I will not. I will do all I can to end up making it a non-factor amongst your equation. I simply wish to end up getting that done earlier in the night, should the opportunity to feed come a little bit later, and also allowing me to end up fulfilling my word. So you knew I was serious when I ended up offering?
I understood that nobody offers that without being serious. I know what I am, Frenchie. I know exactly what I am. You don't offer to be my meal without having some serious balls and being serious about it. I do doubt.
I seem to have upsetted you. My apologies for that.
Just making myself clear. Making so that we know what leg we're standing on. And just sorted everything out with Alistair in there. I don't want to be stunting on with you too.
I do not believe I have ever given you cause to do so. Nothing more than precautions that are completely understandable, as you have said.
Right. I don't want to be offending you either.
You're trying to figure me out. Oui?
Yes.
What would you like to know?
God, that's a weird question to ask.
Because you are not used to dealing with somebody who will simply state what they do.
Yeah. Who does that? Everyone's cloak and daggers. At least in my business.
To be cloak and dagger implies you must end up hiding your cards. When you own the deck, you have no reason to.
And you own the deck, huh?
That is the nature of what I am. One that I keep in mind at all times. You earlier said, Madame Costata, that you understand what you are. I hope in some way that truly frightens you.
More than you know.
To know that I understand that, at least. Because it is in my nature to own the deck. To put it myself above needing lies. It is in my nature to be far worse than I am at this exact moment. I am trying to find a way to work amongst the Anaks. We are not common among them, and for good reason. And for whatever sin you hide, I must wear brazenly. I think one facet of all the Croy is we must be brazen.
LaCroix must be brazen, huh?
So what would you ask? If you were to know.
What drives you? What keeps you going through all this?
I have already told you. Remember the night when we left the small gas station with the attendant? You went inside and grabbed some form of snack, food,
Bottle of
item.
water.
Oui, that was it. And I told you. I wanted a piece of that. That life.
You want the
To know what
human life.
it is something that I cannot have. But at the very least, I can pretend to end up knowing it. I want to be able to smile as I think I get the joke that my coworkers say. I want to be able to dance and imagine what it must be like for one's heart to flutter at the mere want of someone to dance with. I want to know what it's like to hold hands with someone and know that you trust them completely. without the need to look at them as well as a meal, to look at your co-workers as something to be slaughtered, should look at the world, not see what we are. It is a fantasy, and yet we have eternity. So perhaps I hope to see it in some way before I am no longer capable of doing so or appreciating the attempt.
Pax, her face kind of scrunches up and she genuinely looks confused. Almost like she can't quite grasp it. Like it's something completely outside of her frame of reference. I am admittedly not sure what to make of that.
And yet, as I said, there is no reason for me to lie. Even if you know, even if you know everything, you could not injure me, Mademoiselle Cosetta. You could burn me, you could cut me to pieces. I remember once being taken to pieces with a cheese grater.
That's a technique.
It no longer matters. I hope, even if you do not understand the nature of it, that at least answers one of your questions. If you have more, I will gladly have the discussion over dinner. I will check in on you and see on where your mind is. And should we end up requiring anything else, we can take it from there. At this exact moment, Madame Cosetta, I feel more at ease with you, knowing that you will at least allow me to end up having a modicum of defense when offering my own vitae to you. Though I have to ask, I hope that you at least enjoyed the taste.
Like a fun.
Kind of makes you feel powerful, Fat Packs. Like you could take on the world.
If I could describe you, it's strong, unyielding, but there's something smooth about it. Vintage, almost.
That would be accurate, and that terrifies me. Well, Mademoiselle Cosetta, I do not wish to end up occupying you all night. If there is anything else I can do, simply end up requesting it. And I will be there to see.
I'll keep that in mind. But I do have an idea that I did raise to Alistair, and I'd like to put in your and Deja's ears as well, regarding that wonderful little space we got below the kitchen. So shall we rejoin our friend?
He ended up asking me to end up speaking with him anyway. I do not see why not. Alastair, you can stop listening outside of the door right now.
Alistair is definitely not listening outside the door.
Too bad.
He could have learned so much if he had been.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and Yvette moves to the door, cracks it a moment, takes a look. He's learning.
I gotta say, I'm slightly disappointed. That was an opportunity that he let pass up.
You should be proud. Means your words have gotten to him.
Fuck, I can only hope. Don't need another mess up like we had last night.
Yvette slightly bites into her lower lip. After you, Mademoiselle Cosetta.
Thank you.
And they rejoin Alastair.
Alistair, what have you been doing while they've been conversating?
First thing Alistair would have done is, well, I would have texted Alfred and say that I'm going to be making a stop by the store tonight. To stay late, and I will bring him dinner.
Oh, okay. He says,
And
great.
the second thing I would like to do is set up a late night rendezvous with Jax.
Okay. Jax.
That is my herd and my kind of on again, off again, little bit of romantic interest.
Yes, the one who may be making that cold, dead heart of yours beat just a little bit faster. If it could beat at all.
With a jawline like that.
He is quite the handsome fellow.
Yes. But I would be probably flirting with him, sending texts back and forth, saying that I'm going to stop by tonight if that's okay.
He's definitely down for a late night rendezvous whenever you're free. So that's definitely on the table there. And uh, the stop by of the shop, could wait for another few minutes as the girls are coming back out of the other room, and but uh, and you're kind of like fishing through the different texts. You're kind of texting back and forth between Alfred and Jax, and kind of messaging them both as they walk into the room. The most recent text from Jax being a sort of flirtatious flirtatious quote and a winky face at the end, which might make you smile a little bit. Because he is both tasty and handsome.
I'm sorry. I was a little preoccupied. Um, we have time to talk?
I believe so.
Of course.
Oh, please have a seat. I, well, it's not really my business to say, Pax, would you like to give the pitch of your ideas? I just wanted to get Yvette's opinions.
Well, I had two thoughts, although the second one doesn't seem to be particularly well received. First is that we could maybe patch up that little space under the kitchen, maybe find out whether it's got a set of stairs or something that leads inside that's hidden where we can't see it, and use it as a sort of holding space, a storage space. Maybe for uh, rogue kindred or humans that we need to keep or whatever. The other idea is that we could make it look really pretty and have a couple of humans come down and use this as like a gambling house. Make a bit of money, take some cut. If we want to do up the house, we're going to need a bit of cash under our belts.
Yvette ends up looking as though she's contemplating the offer after a moment. I believe the merit ends up making a good vision for the foreseeable future. If that is what you want this house to be, I can see complication. I think I agree with the sell. At the very least, it allows us a place to store and where we are frequently on in case they try to remove themselves from the situation. It also means we have a place to store potential feeding or feed. As far as the gambling ring, I think what is the American saying? I'd rather not shit where I eat.
And that's
I
more
think,
than fair.
but the idea does have merit. Perhaps we should first start looking at other locations that are less observed and ones where we are not readily found on a consistent evening basis. And once we have found such a location, that perhaps can end up offering you what you are envisioning, mademoiselle, without the with at least some degree of separation between that location and this one. One that keeps us separated from anything going wrong.
I see our
Good
two
line of
minds.
thinking.
Yes, I see our two minds are thinking along the same lines.
If that were true, you would not have done made yesterday more difficult than it had to be.
Well, I won't say that I'm as smart as you, but
Do not end up presuming more intelligence. It is
well,
simply a matter of fact. I will say this, however. If this is the route you are going, mademoiselle, this is outside of my realm of expertise. So we will be relying on you and those of your nature to end up looking into it further. I do not know on how I can be assistance to this, but I will endeavor to be so nevertheless.
What kind of connections do you pair have? Just out of curiosity. What kind of part of society we're looking? High, academic, political, police, what?
And she looks over to Monsieur Knight.
Well, I could draw in some of the younger crowd, put out the word through some of my TAs and more gifted students, and just see if I can drum up some of place to, if we have the place to run this thing, populate it with them.
So you've got access to a younger crowd. Are
Yeah,
we talking
all
like
18
high
to
school or
20 somethings, college students.
young adult then?
Yes, more money than they know what to do with, living off of daddy's dime usually. We are not a cheap institution.
It's the
Hmm.
University of Texas. It's a cheap institution.
Hey, I was trying to be nice.
Let it be known that I have very, very few contacts in this city, as I've been not been particularly long lived in it. The ones that I do have, unfortunately, I cannot end up discussing, as it would be a violation of my professional courtesy and the trust they have put into me.
So
And
we're
should,
looking at a little bit higher on the rankings then.
at your presumption, I can neither confirm nor deny. And Mademoiselle, you can get a very or a very serious look from Yvette. Perhaps the same courtesy that she offers to those she is discussing is the same courtesy she's already offered you.
I'm thinking I'm thinking about if we go into some sort of business, gambling or bar work or whatever, what kind of crowd that we as a coterie can get our name out to.
Perhaps we are looking at this the wrong direction. Mademoiselle, you are very constant in the underworld around Bosphor Hernandez, correct?
Yes.
Monsieur Knight, you are very much involved in the university and college campus life. We
Yes.
Then I think that our angle where we have similarity is not in the gambling, but in troubled youth.
I was thinking possibly an underground club or rave of some sort, maybe?
No, 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 no. Something a lot more in line with Mademoiselle.
Hmm.
When I say troubled youth, I am meaning troubled youth. Those,
Those
what,
that are likely to get themselves into crime.
juvie?
The ones
You
that are looking
have
to get.
the ability to scout out those who are promising and adventurous, those who need to learn the trade, but those who are ultimately disposable. You have the promise of an education in putting them in places where they can grow into those of influence while also still understanding the actual game. You also end up having those who may not be of particular affiliation, who may be able to perhaps be more hands on, as I know some want to do, to make that fromage shatter. Yes. And in doing so, you have covered both of your areas of expertise, have expanded to somebody who is above reproach. They were too young to actually know what was going on. It is a longer term solution, but one that would pay off dividends.
So we're talking about recruiting people into our own little group to commit crimes on our behalf with the promise of climbing the ranks. That's what I'm understanding.
Some do that way, others, politicians, senators, some involving themselves in education, not just a small gang, you see, but individuals who are becoming a wider net than we currently have.
You're talking about building our own family, our own mob.
Extending to what you know best. And I'm sure that you overseeing an expansion of Boss Hernandez's business would be viewed as a boon. And I have no doubt that Monsieur Knight can think of a few reasons to end up having particular students under his sway, taking particular classes. You get the impression, Monsieur Knight, that she may be hinting at Professor Knight, specifically when she hints that.
As Yvette is talking about this, Pax looks more and more and more uncomfortable. I'm sorry to put a damper on your train of thought, but that's not really what I was thinking. And that's more treading on Boss Hernandez's toes than more than anything else.
Also, you are a the underboss of Boss Hernandez.
No,
This
no, I'm
is
not. I'm not a Meg guy. I can't be a Meg guy. Made men are women. Are not women. The system for the mob is very, very complex. And by doing this, I would be actively going against Boss Hernandez. It would be a subsect, which is not acceptable. Do you understand? Creating a family underneath of a family, there's no. I'm not I'm not on board for that. I was thinking more like a pub or a club where we could draw people in and like make money from it. Maybe make a slice of gambling on the side, racketeering. I don't know, but not a whole ass fucking family. Why are you smiling at me like that? That makes me very uneasy.
oh, pardon, mademoiselle. I did not mean to make you uneasy. I simply wish to end up utilizing the expertise you have demonstrated and use it as a beneficial. But you end up wishing to not do so, I shall end up dropping the matter entirely.
I know this game and I do not like it.
Maybe just a little bit. Pax is starting to get a very small inkling of just how dangerous Yvette can be. When she said, I own the deck.
Right. instead of going so grandiose, let's scale it back. Because I'm not sure we want to be making enemies in this city at the moment. We're still too small. So we start small and work our way up.
I got to say, I think I like the idea of the underground bar, pub, or club kind of deal. It would draw in, I could funnel a lot of the college into it probably. We could make some money off of them. They're drinking all the time, anyways.
If that is what you are comfortable with, then it shall be so.
I don't know, what do you think, Pax? You have the mind for this kind of thing. I'm just
I
looking
was,
at the demographic.
I was thinking that like we could try and do some political pull or whatever, but that works too. I don't fucking care. I'm just trying to process this shit that you just threw at me.
The thought does cross your mind a little bit, Pax. What if I could be a maid woman? The
That's not in the
first.
rules. It's not in the rules. It's not how it works. Be nice. Don't deny it. It'd be fucking fantastic. But it won't ever happen. Sticklers for tradition, and that's not a fight that I or any of us are prepared to go into. Too much money in the back, too much power, too much pull. And if we ever wanted to go into that, well, we'd have to get a lot bigger than what we are. And her
I
eyes kind of drift across to Yvette. And she's watching that because she knows the game that Yvette was just playing with her head. And I'm not sure that I like that because I know that game. I've played that game. It's not often that that game gets turned around on me.
At this exact moment, I will look into locations appropriate for your needs.
Right. Um, I've got a job to get done tonight for Boss Hernandez. I'll check in.
Do you require a company map? Back up.
You know what? You know what? I'd appreciate it.
Of course, mademoiselle. Monsieur Alastair, I presume that this is not the line of work you wish to end up doing so?
if you guys need it, I could try to help, but it is not my forte.
It's just a
Well,
thin blood whose ass needs kicking.
Ah,
it's quite alright. Actually, there is something you can do here, Monsieur Knight. I believe that with a little bit of dignity and tact, you can end up. You would like to end up contacting Monsieur Ball and inform him of the rent situation. Do not skip out on the maybes or perhaps. Simply inform what is.
I
Oui?
can do this. I have other things to attend to, but I will attend to this first.
Fantastique. And she grabs hold of her case.
Right. Well, I will see you later.
You guys be safe.
Intend
Alice.
on it.
Would Alistair have contact information for Mr. Ball?
Yeah, he would, because he's made it a point to make himself available to y'all when you need it.
I'll send a text and ask for a meet time.
Pax would also leave her number with Alistair
Mm-hmm.
in case he needs it,
Okay,
Okay, I'll put that in my phone.
fair enough.
along with the same warning that she left Yvette with, which is watch your keywords when you're speaking on the phone.
Mm. And with that, Alistair makes his way towards a meeting with Mr. Ball, and Pax and Yvette are off to
Downtown.
downtown, where they will meet up with the Thin Blood, who needs his ass kicked. And with thoughts lingering in Pax's mind, what if? And I think that is where we're going to leave the session for tonight. And we'll pick
There's
up
one.
there next time.
Sorry, Coffee. There's one very important thing, Pax. Remember, those in power make the rules.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
But yes, that is where we are leaving the session for tonight. Thank you guys for showing up and being great players. Boat's making his way downtown. Love it. Love to see it. Thank you guys so much for coming out to visit us for another episode of Austin by Starlight with three of my lovely players, Moxie Pox, Macabre Derek, and that mother Fuka. They're great people. You should give them all a look on Twitch, even though Derek is the only one who streams. But
I will start soon. I'm going to.
soon,
I'm going to have a friend help me set up.
soon, TM, soon.
Yes.
One day I will go back to streaming, and until then, it's just not happening.
That's fair enough. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being my lovely cast.
Thank you so much for being our wonderful ST.
Oh, I don't do shit. It's all you guys.
Bullshit.
Really? Because what I'm looking at right here on screen over on the Twitch channel says otherwise.
Well, it's a CoffeeCat Presents kind of thing, but, you know, it's my cast who makes up the majority of the storytelling. It's them who are the spotlight of all of this. And I'm sorry, Mother, because I kind of focused in on Yvette and Pax today. So, but
It's fine.
Oh, you get to deal with Mr. Ball on your own. Best of luck on that one.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Let's see how deep Alistair can stick his foot down his throat.
Yes. I could probably
Let-
fit both feet.
Let's see if anything has sunk in from what was being said.
We're gonna find out if there's character development or not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there may be character development, but I'm still a dumbass, so.
When in doubt, ask stupid question to the
Yes.
ST and
When
roll
in
for
doubt, ask me
Yes.
stupid questions. Because no, there's no such thing as a stupid question if you don't. The only stupid question is the one that's not asked. Oh my god. Maddie,
Oh, you're
rating
good.
with 38. Just
Maddie
as we're
rating
wrapping up.
at the end. Oh
Right as we're wrapping up. Rip. Get some rips going in chat. Welcome, Maddie Morgs and the Hero Zone and the wonderful people going on for there. Yes, you guys are all great. All of the Maddie emotes, yes. Spam them. The horde arrives, yay! Quick summary of things. Any vamps get dusted? No. No vamps got dusted. They actually made up and played nice today. Oh
If
my
by
god.
playing nice, Pax had a gun to the back of her head. Yeah.
Okay. But she wasn't completely batshit, like, flipping out over it.
Pax was
Gothic's
behaving.
Pax was behaving. She was having
That
a
might have been some of the Don's influence coming through.
he's your four. Speaking of which, add a fourth dot to your blood bond on that.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
um Video Gothic said that they were expecting donuts. Does it look like a donut's going to survive with this crew? Like before you get here?
Ooh,
Well,
It's just saying.
You're speaking facts.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just telling it like it is. But yeah,
Yeah.
thanks guys. Thank you guys so much for the raid and
Proof? A masquerade with civility? Yeah, when a venture's involved, it typically is.
Maddie's
Because you
handing
don't
out
want to push
donuts.
that button.
Maddie's the one handing out donuts. He's got the emotes for it. And there's an imposter among them, and yes, they are sus. Yes.
Maddie has an emo for everything.
He really does, though. Like,
I just can't believe that Yvette tried playing mind games with Pax.
What do you mean
it
mind games?
kinda.
She was legit on that.
Oh, I know. But it was that flip, that let's push it to the extreme so that your brain comes back to the normal. Let's shock your brain into coming back to the smart decision.
Yvette doesn't understand small. That's half of the reason she
No,
has a hard
Yvette,
time with the whole.
Yvette is 100% big picture. And then uh, it's having to rein her in and think, okay, we need to think of this on a smaller scale first. Let's do that.
Yeah, and the fact that happened, and Pax is like, well, hang on a second. That doesn't happen. That never happens. What?
Yep.
Meanwhile, in Yvette's world, this happens all the time. Like this is status quo to her.
Yep. She has failed superstar and senator friends. I mean, go big or go home, right? Crash and burn.
And Pax is sitting here like, whoa, let's back up a little bit.
Why? She just ended up suggesting that you end up taking control of a juvie center. That's all. That's all she suggested. She just explained what you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Pax is like, I have no idea how to get from point A to point B there. So let's start a little smaller.
Yep. They're gonna start building more
right
things.
away. Pax is starting to go. Okay, I had a little bit of respect. Now I'm a little afraid. Like
Just a
where
little bit.
does your brain go?
Small bit of shit on yourself.
Pax is like, I don't. How? What? Where? How did this go from what I was suggesting to that?
Make some money, take over the world.
And she's like, that's not what I was suggesting, but
Dollar
okay.
bills, y'all. Just saying. But yes, I have a
Just
great
saying.
cast. I was just gushing about them a little bit because they're great. I love them. I love them all, and I'm sad that Mojo wasn't able to come today. So, but
Ripping pepperonis.
yep, ripping pepperonis. But that does mean that you guys who have fulfilled a desire today can recover an aggravated willpower if you have one to recover. Hi Miller. Yes, I'm sorry about the gob stomp of ads. Twitch made me do it. But yeah, the in that regard. But yeah. So recover willpower. where you can when it comes to desires. What about? I don't think there's any states to have to do. So,
No.
nope. And now it is experience. So,
Yay!
everybody gets one for showing up at the table today.
Woo!
Whoa! The everybody prize. Now, we discuss, as much as Derek does in his games, and much like I've done in my past games, where we do experience in a similar way, where we have the player characters vote on each other as to who had the plot, who had the best scene, and who had the best line of the night. And then, of course, if Black Wolf is in the chat, if you could start a poll for me about which character is the best from the audience, we can get that bonus experience too. But who moved the plot? Oh, Black Wolf went to bed. Oh, okay. Well, I'll make it myself then. That's fine.
I'm gonna throw Pax in for plot mover.
Plot mover. Okay.
I'll hand that up.
Gonna yeet her in the middle of all this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Again, I'm very sorry for kind of ignoring Alistair a little bit today.
Shit happens.
My bad. We'll have to give you a spotlight next week.
Oh, yay.
Oh, yay.
That's definitely not going to make me anxious all week, because I have to deal with Mr. Ball and have the spotlight.
Bruh, it's gonna happen. It's
I
gonna happen
know.
eventually. You're dealing with Mr. Ball. He's great.
Oh man, I just realized I promised Deja a scene. Maybe that's why Mojo didn't show up tonight. He's running away from Pax.
No, I think he was probably something came up. So, but yes,
Yeah, likely.
spend all of your channel points and all of your bits if you have them on the audience poll, because nothing's stopping you from just slamming a whole bunch of points into that. But yeah, that's up. So we're doing packs for the plot mover today.
Seems to be it.
Yeah.
All right. Best scene.
There were a couple of really good ones tonight.
There was.
Yeah, that's kind of hard.
Like, I mean, I loved Yvette hires balls. Or high on balls, depending on how you want to put it.
That was kind of funny.
Haya's balls gets best line. I'm going home and getting in this bounce.
All right.
That's getting best line.
No. That was funny, but not best line.
We're on the best scene still, so.
Yeah, I liked that one. I liked
the scene with her feeding Pax though.
Oh right.
I like that scene. Just the imagery of Pax resting her head, and all of a sudden there's a headrest on this chair that shouldn't be there. And it's oddly pointy.
And Pax is just nonchalant about it, like
it's probably not the first time, to be quite honest.
It's definitely not the first time Pax has experienced something like that. And I really enjoyed the scene with Alistair and Pax just having a chat and kind of making up.
At the start of the session?
Yeah. Like, oh, well, it wasn't really at the start. It was before the feeding scene. When Pax and Alistair were sitting there and she came in and like was chipper and said good morning, and he's just like fucking confused, not really sure how to approach it, and it's just them explaining themselves to each other.
I did like that scene.
I also really loved the scene with Hernandez. I just loved playing that scene.
That's pretty great. It's pretty good.
I don't know, man. There's so much. I'm gonna say Yvette. Just for the high on balls. High as balls on balls.
I mean, that was a very brief portion of the scene, to be fair.
It was. But it was
I
still
think
great.
I think I'm going to put my vote for um Alistair and Pax, that scene.
But which character?
Hmm. Probably Pax.
Derek, which way were you voting?
I'm not gonna lie, Yvette tripping balls and losing her decorum was kind of funny. I'm gonna his pants.
I loved that. I loved that because that was her just being herself. That wasn't her being a
It's,
venture. That was her being herself.
it humanized her so much, and I loved it.
But no, if that's obviously that's a fade to black situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of explains like Yvette's typical feeding on how she like jumps from social group to social group and her close interactions. It's also really telling about her. She will if she feels like she's going to frenzy or even is remotely there's a chance of it, she won't go for a herd. She'd rather deal with a stranger.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she doesn't want to put Dale and Chris at risk. She cares about them. She legitimately cares about them. They're hers. So, yes, Miller, thank you for voting. There's still a lot of time left on the audience poll, so get your votes in. Is it tied up then that we have for scene?
I voted for Yvette.
Oh,
Okay.
you voted Yvette. Derek voted Yvette. Okay, then yeah, that's
Yeah.
majority anyway.
Okay.
All right. Best line.
It's in my nature to own the deck.
I loved that line. I'm not gonna lie though, that last line from Alistair at the end there. Remember, pack those in power, make the rules. Just
Very poignant. Yep.
Yeah.
Both of which are very poignant.
Ironically, Yvette would end up saying that that's a lie. There even ironically when you're in power, there are more.
yeah.
But that's very told from somebody who's never experienced power,
Mm.
right? That there's
Both being
a
very poignant
interesting
for very different
there
reasons.
is an interesting presumption on that. Yvette's not big on philosophy, but being venture the discussion of power is always hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Very poignant for very different reasons on both parts.
They were both so good, those lines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to pretend like I'm not greedy as all fuck for experience.
So are we doing a
Not gonna
roll
get any of that
off?
false. Not getting any of that false humility from me.
Yeah, I've got to
Ugh.
say, I don't get a good line that often, so I'm going to vote for myself.
There you go.
I'm gonna say Alistair. Let's make it everybody get some.
Okay.
Well, that's already 2 votes for Alistair, then. That would be a majority.
Yep.
Alistair
That was
gets
a
it.
hard.
All right. So Alistair gets it.
Audience vote is still calculating. So get your votes in now, guys, because it's going to close here in another couple minutes.
I'm not allowed to vote.
Yes, cast members aren't allowed to vote. But
Cry.
everyone else in the audience who isn't present today can, because just because hashtag reasons. It doesn't even have to have a reason behind it. Just put somebody, and
No.
spend points on
Your
it if you
favorite person, you like the way their makeup looks, you like the color of their shirt. Who gives a shit? Just vote.
want. I know that Maddie rated in with about 3060, so there's there's got to be,
Brew
somebody's.
froze. You don't have to have been here to
You
vote.
don't have
Just
to.
just
That's
vote.
literally half the fun. Is just like fuck it.
We
Pick
have
random shit.
we have a Malkavian, a Tremere, and a Ventru. So if you have a favorite clan, vote for one. Vote for whichever one's your favorite. Just vote. If
Peer
you
pressure.
if you like the look of a
Uh-oh.
particular, if you like one of our cast members, more
Oh.
than the rest,
Somebody's up to shenanigans.
somebody's shenaniganoring.
Oh boy,
I see
we've got
shenanigans.
shenanigans happening again.
Uh-oh. The Nosferatu in me would vote for the ST. I don't get a vote. I make the rules here. I am God. You don't get to. I don't get to be a member of the cast. I'm God.
Hey, coffee. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a Rodney vote.
Uh
Uh-oh.
oh. It's getting close, guys. It's gonna be ending soon. It's a tie
Oh
between Pax and
god.
Yvette. Somebody get it to me.
I see this going horribly, horribly wrong for somebody.
Right.
God doesn't get a vote. Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
I'm just surprised that 10 people actually cared about my train wreck of a character. I'm
Hey, we
touched.
love him. We love him.
Absolutely.
He is adorable. And Pax.
Ah,
Pax.
they don't hate me.
And
Pax.
somebody boosted you last
Somebody
minute by
boosted
10
you like
votes.
last
Right?
seconds because they got 10 extra votes in there.
Like, holy hell. Thank you, guys.
Somebody last minute eBay sniped it, so. Last minute eBay
Right.
snipe. Yep.
Shit.
Thank you,
Now I
Maddie,
can
for
spend
contributing
experience on
22,000 channel
something.
points to the votes. So 22,000
What?
channel points is how Maddie contributed, and I'm sure that there's a bunch of others who contributed a bunch too. So
Oh yeah.
he just contributed the most. And Inspector Deflector has 100k in the bank. I mean, I'm the streamer. I get infinite, so you know.
Fook, where am I going to put my 7
Well, thank
experience?
you.
Yes, thank you, so guys, so much for contributing to the poll with your channel points. It's much appreciated. I like the Twitch polls in that voter polls can be like that. The only drawback is that you only get 4 options, and in my Thursday game I have 7 players, so I can't do a Twitch poll for that, and I'm sad about it. That's why I would have voted for God. It's okay. Even God must temper himself. But yes, any expenditures amongst my
I'm
players?
trying to think about where I want to put this 7 experience, and I've got no frigging clue.
Well, you could always think it over during the week, and if you come to a conclusion about something, then you can post it in the private group chat that's what you took. But if it doesn't come up until next week, just before game, and that's when you tell me, that's fine. I'm not bothered.
I'm kind of thinking firearms, maybe?
Next.
I don't know.
Maddie, you silly. But yes, we can discuss that over the off week and kind of ponder it for a bit longer. When it comes to that. But let's find somebody to raid. Who we want to raid? Desolate Fox is streaming Monster Hunter. So let's go give them a bunch of love, because we have a number of people in the stream today. So, welcome to our Cat Cafe, Brufus. Welcome. Thank you for following. We are over 400 followers on here on Twitch, and so we're making our way to 500. And as soon as we hit 500, I might just do a special stream. I don't know, something like a 12-hour or something. I don't know. We'll do whatever. But we'll find out when that happens. But Derek also streams. What you doing for your stream tomorrow?
Well, that's presuming I have one, hopefully. I'm hoping to do an art stream, but unfortunately things are kind of up in the air right now, and I'm not
Oh.
sure on what the heck's happening. So stay tuned on that one. Hit a follow and end up rolling the dice on that.
Yes.
Just some weird things going on in life right now.
Also, don't forget to join my Discord if you haven't. So, because it's there for the viewing, and we're very close to 100 subs on YouTube for the YouTube VODs. So definitely go and subscribe on YouTube, because then we can get that vanity URL and be one step closer to being official on YouTube somehow. You know, like you do. But yeah, Derek, I definitely look forward to more art streams from you, because I always love your art. It is great, and hopefully, we can maybe get a bit of an art stream in from you today and from this week. But tomorrow is also Rebirth, a D&D tale where me and 7 players all play D&D, and so the next episode of that's going to be airing tomorrow. We're going to be playing that tomorrow, and then any of the VODs, be sure to check out those on YouTube if you missed something, because I post those usually by Sunday every week if I forget for some reason. So, but they get posted up on the Discord. That you'll get notifications on YouTube, and of course, follow here on Twitch, because you're missing out on the live content. If you're watching on YouTube, you're missing out on the live feedback. You should be over here too. So, with that being said, we wish you a good night, and we'll find out next week what happens with Alistair and Mr. Ball and Pax and Yvette and this thin blood named Matt. So, say good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.